Hey, my lady friend, got a minute? This is for the woman who's been carrying a lot lately, moving through her days under the weight of so many responsibilities. Maybe you're leading a team, running a business, or managing a household. You may be doing all three of those and even more, and you can feel it. And your mind is full, your heart is tired, and even the small things are starting to feel heavier than usual. And if someone mentioned the word creativity to you right now, you'd probably want to laugh and sigh and say, "You think I have time for that? I don't have time for that. And besides, I don't have a creative bone in my body." Well, I hear you. But I want you to sit with me for a moment because I want to share a story with you. Way back when I was in the 10th grade, my English class had to read a book called Silas Marner. Do you remember having to read that book in high school? I do. But to be completely honest with you, I don't remember much about the plot today, but I do remember it was about a man and a loom, Loom. And for the class project, our teacher told us we actually had to build a loom. I'm not sure why that was the class project, but each of us had to come up with a loom. So, my mother was a very creative person, and my daddy was handy. He once made this beautiful wooden coffee table that I'll never forget. But none of us had ever made a loom. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing or how to even start. She gave us a diagram with some measurements on it, but that was it. So I ended up having to go to a classmate whose dad actually made a bunch of these looms for several of us, and we paid him to build the frame. So my contribution was that I painted it blue, and that was it. I didn't really know what a loom was for or even how it worked or how the threads come together to make fabric. So I was just a girl painting a blue frame trying to pass a class. Now, isn't that how life is sometimes? We're handed this frame we call life. We have a business, maybe, a career, this family, and we're told to build something beautiful. But nobody gave us a manual. And we're trying to figure out how to get through the day, trying to pass the test, trying to keep up with all of the pieces and making sure they don't fall apart. So, throughout my life, whether I was making classroom materials by hand as a teacher, organizing parent programs as a principal, and then later on, when my dad got sick, I became a full time caregiver. Responsibilities have always been heavy. And there were seasons where the work was intense, the seasons of grief and deep grief after I lost my mother. Um, I would say 10 years before I lost my father. Um, but nevertheless, in those seasons, and I lost a younger sister, my youngest sister, between that, it was only two of us. So, lost her in 2014, mom in 2011, and dad in 2021. So, at those times, I felt scattered. And I felt like I was moving through my days without any room to breathe. I was doing so much for everyone else that I started to forget my own identity. But after my mother passed, I picked up a hobby. I started making deco mesh wreaths, and it's just started as something that I wanted to do with my hands. But then I realized that, and now I know that that was my creativity. And it wasn't a luxury at that time, it was actually my lifeline. You see, a loom is just a tool and it holds the vertical threads or what they call the warp, tightly in place so that the weaver can pass the horizontal threads back and forth to create a beautiful fabric. So, your life responsibilities, the business, the leadership, the motherhood, the caregiving, those are all the heavy, tight threads that are held on the loom, and they hold you in place. But if you never pass the colorful threads of creativity, play, self care, rest through them, you never get a tapestry. You just get tension. So I want you to think about that for a minute. You just get tension. God is the ultimate creator, and because you are made in his image, you are hardwired to be creative too. Now, you don't have to be a professional artist, you don't have to know how to build a loom. You just have to be willing to weave a little color into the tension. Every experience you've had, the joyful ones, the heavy ones, and the grieving ones, God weaves them together into a beautiful tapestry. You are his masterpiece, and using your creativity is how you remember who you are apart from what you do for everyone else. So, we're going to do a quick exercise to help us pause, release the tension in our own looms, and reset. And then once we finish, we'll go back to whatever it is we were doing because I know that we have busy lives. So, this exercise is called Feel the Loom. You can either do this sitting or standing. Even if you're at work in the home office at home or work office at work, or if you're sitting in your bedroom, or even if you're seated in your car, maybe waiting for your children to come out from school or practice. So, as you're sitting or standing, I want you to take a deep, slow breath. And if you feel safe, close your eyes. Now, consider your breath for a moment. Just feel it moving in and out. That is the breath of life that's given from our Creator. So breathe in, breathe out. Do that for a few seconds. In, out. Now consider your body as the loom. Think about the tension you're actually holding. Bring your attention to your shoulders. Are they pulled up tight? If so, let them drop and let your frame relax. Now bring your attention to your hands. Rest them on your lap or at your sides. Think about everything these hands have done today: the typing, the cleaning, the holding, the fixing, the leading. Bring your attention to the palms of your hands. Open your hands flat, facing upward toward the ceiling as if you are ready to receive a gift. Now wiggle your fingers slowly and imagine that every finger holds a different color thread. Threads of your hard work, your love, your resilience, and your joy. You don't have to force them into a perfect pattern right now. Just acknowledge that the color is there inside you. Now remember, if you're seated or standing, feel the solid ground beneath your feet. The floor is holding you up. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in this exact minute. You just have to hold the space. Now close your hands into a gentle, soft fist And holding on to that piece, let them relax. So bring them in, hold it into a fist, and then let them come out and let them relax. And I would suggest doing that with a few times with one hand and then going back and doing that a few times with your other hand. If you actually have a stress ball, that might be a good time to take that stress ball and actually put in your hand and squeeze it and then let it relax. Now take one more deep breath. Let it out and open your eyes. Now, before you rush back into your busy day, remember this. You are the woman entrusted with this season, but you are also a masterpiece allowed to just be. Be. You're allowed to just be. Give yourself permission to pause and create something small today, even if it's just a moment of wonder or a quiet prayer. Creative renewal is our theme for this month, and we are going to go so much deeper with this inside our membership experience. So, if you want the practical resources, the guided reflections, and the space to really weave this into your busy life, click the link below to access this month's creative renewal tools. Until next time, my lady friend, take care of you too.